Hello and welcome to Becoming the Influential Me, the podcast. I'm Michelle Chikanda, the founder of The Influential Me, and today I want to talk to you guys about something called attention. Are you paying attention? Well, there's a reason we use that phrase, paying attention, because today I want to talk to you about how your attention is currency and how you can use that currency to buy the things that you really want in your life. What are you going on about, Michelle? Well, when this universe was created, human beings had such a basic way of living, and paying attention made sure you survived. So we had to, our ancestors had to pay attention to, whether there were any predators around, and so they had to shut everything else around and shut everything else out rather, and focus on survival. This is how they learned to focus on how to create a fire. This is how they learned to focus when hunting, and this is why they learned how to focus when looking for food, etc., etc. It is within our DNA, if you like, or the way we're made to be able to focus. So what's happening now? Well, now in classrooms, you have to focus. And when you focus and pay attention in the classroom, you get rewarded for paying for that attention by being moved on to the next class and the next class and the next class. And then you get a degree and you get rewarded with money for, the knowledge that you have paid attention to. And then you get rewarded again with money if you become a specialist, right? It's being rewarded for the things that you paid attention to for a significant period of time. This is also very interesting, isn't it? Well, it doesn't stop there. What happens is after we have finished our educational accomplishments, we sort of stop focusing on what we're paying attention to. Suddenly it becomes a free-for-all where, because you're not studying or anything like that, you just take in information and put your attention to lots of different things. And our attention is being vied for by so many different things. Facebook wants your attention. Netflix wants your attention. Michelle wants your attention on her podcast. All of these different, when you're walking down the street, there's billboards with adverts that want your attention. Why? Because the more time you spend on somebody else's agenda, the more likely you are to spend money on whatever it is that they're doing, myself included. This is a completely candid way of looking at the world. Now, is everything you pay attention to and that you give money to harming you? No, but a lot of it is. Why is it harming you? Because it's not your agenda. It is somebody else's agenda. Okay. So what's happening? The world is shifting so radically, but one thing that isn't changing is the need for your attention, because that's why data is so important, because they want to know what time you brush your teeth. They want to know how regularly you buy what you buy. They want to know, marketers want to know how regularly, who you are, what you're interested in, so that they can sell you whatever they want to sell you in the most efficient way possible, and so that they can target the people that want their products. Is there anything wrong with this? No. But what that means is we are stripped now of so much of our attention in a way that our parents and our grandparents were not. And it also then means, consequently, that we don't have enough attention for the things that we do want. How's this come to my attention? Well, this week, with the ladies in my book club, we've been reading Hyperfocus by Chris Bailey. And one of the things that we talked about is how much time you spend on your phone and the things that you are doing with your time, and being a little bit more intentional about how you are spending your time. So with the revolution of, less and less, more and more attention paid to things that are on somebody else's agenda, there's been a counter-revolution. And that counter-revolution has been mindfulness. This idea that you have to be present wherever you are. The Buddhists say, they're present. The monks say that they're present when they're drinking a cup of tea. And, really focusing on your surroundings. Because what social media does is, the more you're focused on what's going on externally, you focus less on what's actually happening in your own experience, because you're so caught up in, all of us are, we're so caught up in wanting to share an experience, we almost forget to have the experience. So today I want to talk about why attention is your currency and how you can use it to buy the things that you want in your life. It's really about saying, okay, there are a lot of things that want my attention. Why do these people want my attention? So that I can go about on their agenda. But how can I create an agenda of my own? Well, the key thing with that is having the headspace, right, to think about the agenda, but also having the tools around you to enable you to do that. So the very best way for you to cultivate an agenda for yourself and for you to bring attention to the things that you want is dun, 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 to read. So one of the things that I realized very early on is that readers are leaders. You've probably heard me say this before. And when we bring our attention to something, it grows. And so that's why when somebody studies science, for example, the more they learn, the more their attention on that thing grows and that curiosity develops. And then eventually they succeed to the level of, master's, PhD, etc. So we also are able to cultivate that by reading the books of those that have gone before us. So reading allows us to understand what we should be putting our attention on. Right? A lot of people, this is the classic thing that people say to me, but how do I know what to put my attention on? There's so many things that are vying for my attention. Or maybe I'm just really fickle. One day I want to do hairdressing. The next day I want to do beauty. The next day I want to be a scientist. And I'm capable of all of those things, but I can't decide which one I want. A good place to place your attention is in books. When I was in uni anyways, I was able to start writing an essay. You'd be given an essay question and you wouldn't really know what angle you were going to go with that question until you'd read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. And then once you'd read those chapters in those books, you'd be like, okay, I think this is my angle. After having synthesized all this information, I think this is an angle I can tackle this with. And it's the same with your life choices. You can invest your time in reading books that will allow you to decide which direction of travel you should go. Okay, Michelle, I already know which direction of travel I want to go. Where can I put my attention now? Again, read books of people that have become masters at what it is that you want to do, and that will help you to narrow your focus even more. There are so many people who have done this and demonstrated successfully how to do this. It is not a coincidence that Bill Gates reads a book a week and more if he can. It is not a mistake or a coincidence that Warren Buffett spends 5 to 6 hours a day reading. It is not a mistake that Mark Zuckerberg also launched, a book club and a challenge to read, a book every week. Now, if these people, and a lot of us will say, I don't have time, but what is robbing you of your attention? I'll come back to that in a moment. But if we are saying we do not have time, then how are these people doing it? Because running an organization like Microsoft, because Bill Gates has been doing this since he was a child. Now he doesn't run the organization. Fair enough. He has a little bit more time. But still, even when he was running such a huge organization, he made time to read. So it's all about what we're putting our attention on. And maybe you're thinking, oh, but Michelle, after a long day at work, I don't necessarily want to start picking up a book to read. And that's fine. But what is robbing you of your attention? Right? In the morning, instead of, spending an hour doing your makeup or an hour in the shower, what if you spend 30 minutes of that time putting your attention on a book, putting your attention on things that give you a return on your investment? I sound like such a broken record, but honestly, it's about making your currency pay you back. So if our attention is the currency that we are putting out to the world, then is it fair that all you are is a next level judo karate queen of consumption? Is this what your life will be? That the very best you could do was consume what other people gave you, and yet we failed to create something just as a result of what you placed your attention on. Okay, let me bring this down a level and give you an example of what it is that I'm talking about. One of the things for me was I am a really great binge watcher of television. I don't have a television in my home, but what I can do very, very well is if I have a Saturday where I decide that I've got nothing else on the agenda, I will literally make an effort to go online and sit there and literally plant myself in front of a screen for 8 hours. Or however long, maybe even longer. And this is something that I do maybe once every quarter. And it's something that I really, really enjoy. And then I realized, Michelle, somebody is paid to make sure you stay on this, on this platform for as long as possible. And whilst you are doing that, you are robbing yourself of actual, genuine downtime where you're not taking anything in from other people. And so I said, okay, how can I place my attention, this one Saturday a quarter that I have for myself, how can I use my attention and put it on something that actually serves me? And so what I decided to do, drum roll please, is to listen to podcasts on that Saturday, but podcasts only for like 1 or 2 hours max. And then the rest of the day, do nothing. Be still in my own presence. And some people might choose to use that time to read, but place my attention on what's going on inside me. Place my attention on what's going on in my own world. Place my attention on solutions I could come up with for my health, for my intellect, for my joy. And really spend that time putting my attention on things that serve me. Why? Because when I go out there's constantly messages from other people, non-stop. And so by doing an audit, I guess, of what I'm doing within myself, I place my attention, I'm able to then go out there and buy the right things attention-wise, which means now I spend less time consuming what other people give me and more time creating. So what things... How, in your mind, can you create more value for your attention? Well, I've got one idea. Start reading more. Read more. Reading more will give you direction in your life. It allows you to, not to say that you don't have direction, but it will always refine your direction. You can always learn things and be inspired and do things differently as a result of putting your attention on a book. Why a book? Because it is compressed experience. Somebody's lived through something for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, and put it into 200 pages just for you. And so by paying attention to that compressed knowledge, you are able, or better able rather, to begin to craft your own agenda. Give other people something to pay attention to. Become somebody who people want to pay attention to. And that does not happen unless you begin to pay attention. It's a currency. But Michelle, I do feel like I'm paying attention, but I'm not really getting as far as I'd like. Fine, and that's fair. My answer is find like-minded people. All of us have limitations and all of us have challenges and things that we cannot solve by ourselves. I am not an island. I read X amount and I get X amount of that. But when I read with other people or get to a point where, I'm learning from other people, whether I'm in the same room with them or not, well, nobody is at the moment, but you know what I mean. It takes it to that extra level. It takes it and heightens it. And also by me paying attention to how other people are creating and cultivating their success, I'm able to do that as well. Our attention sometimes is stolen by, I'm also the queen of this. Sometimes I'll get on the phone with a cousin or a sister or a friend, and we just start yakking about other people's lives, about the dress that we want from a certain shop, or about things that do not serve us in any way, shape or form. Now, do not get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that we don't have family and friendship ties. I think those things are really important. But I think for every one of those conversations, or every 5 of those conversations, there should be one where you are doing something that is giving you a return on investment for your attention. So if you are in an environment where, you have one call with somebody or part of a group where you get fed in terms of, your intellectual capacity and your intellectual aspirations and your career aspirations, your life aspirations, even your health aspirations, then you get a return on that time investment that you've put in. It's energizing. Have you ever been on the phone? Sometimes I'm on the phone with somebody and I'm literally rolling my eyes because I'm like, oh my gosh, this person is so negative. It is so draining, but I'm there. And I'm there for an hour. I'm there for an hour and a half. And those conversations happen, especially with people that we love, because sometimes, I'm that person sometimes as well. Like I'm that person, I'm complaining and struggling and whatever. But the point is, for every 5 or maybe even 4 of those conversations, there must be one that allows you to grow. There must be one that allows you to put your attention on something positive that will drive the outcome that you want for yourself. Those that have been before us, the women that have been before us really understood this. And this is why you hear a lot of messages about, from successful women about, how I don't pay attention to the limitations of others around me. That's what the first Black woman in space said. I can't remember her name. I will put that somewhere on the blog or, in this video. And this idea that we should be having conversations that lift us up. We should be having our attention on things that build us. And we should be putting our attention on creating our own agenda. And the way to go from attention to agenda is reading. And this is why I'm talking to you this week about how we should manage our attention. And the best way I found to do that is reading. If you have another way that you have found to create your own agenda and to make sure you get to a level of excellence with it without reading, please tell me. I want to know about it. I want to know this incredible shortcut, because none of the leaders I've ever worked with have found that. None of the successful ones anyways, have found that way. So let's read more. Let's begin to look for people that help us to place our attention in the right places. Attention really is your currency. Make sure that you are using it wisely. One of the ladies in my book club also said to me, this week, because of the book that we're reading, she said, I loved a passage that we read that said something along the lines of, when they play the highlight reel of my life, do I want it to just be me sitting on my phone scrolling through Instagram, through Amazon, through whatever it is you scroll through most of the time? Or do you want to be somebody that put their attention on something and create an agenda? And I thought to myself, this is true, because right now it's so easy to just be consuming and being on somebody else's agenda. But what we want to do to have a life that matters, a life that's meaningful, an influential life, is we need to be better about the things that we place our attention on. So, if you are not reading, please do start and begin to place your attention on the things that will make you excellent. If you want to know more in terms of, Michelle, what books do I read? Please, there is a link below this video with my top 10 books that every woman that wants a career, has a career, wants to elevate their career, absolutely must read. That link should be below this video or in the caption of the podcast, depending on how you're consuming this. You should have that list, and I highly recommend going through that list of books and really seeing or having a feel of what you would like to read, and just start there. That's an excellent place to start. And I think that is everything from me. As a last note, my book club, the Readers to Leaders book club, is opening its doors, and the enrollment is only open for just over a week. So if you are interested in signing up for that, do let me know. Either go on the link below, or send us an email, support@theinfluentialme.com, and we'll be able to send you the details for that. Enrollment only opens once every 3 months, so do not miss out on this opportunity to sign up, because otherwise you'll have to wait for another 3 months, and then we'll be in the summer, and then you'll have missed so much. I don't think I can bear it. Just do it. Just sign up for the book club. It's a group of women, and we come together to read together, and we share stories. Once a month, we read, we analyze,